This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 64, Why Memorializing Your Best Ideas Will Save Your Business. Are you a real estate agent with an entrepreneurial spirit who wants to turn your job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan to help you get there? Well, then I think you're definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. And to help you take immediate action to build a better real estate agent business or start one the correct way, I've created a free jumpstart course that has a plan in it and sitting over there waiting for you at freeagentgift.com. That's freeagentgift.com. All right, let's get started. In this episode, I want to continue. I know last time my title was a little harsh. I wanted to punch myself in the face, but I wanted to wake everybody up so you can hear me. It's very important, this whole concept of goal setting, and that is really the compass that everybody's missing. I can't believe, I'll state this again, like I did in the last episode, I can't believe how many top producers can't even tell me how much gross commission income they want to get, let alone how much they want to net. So it is very important to start with that simple goal in mind. Set a number. At least you have a North Star, and you can make plenty of adjustments on the way. But I want to get into the how-to. I think it's important. As we went through our mastermind this week, I got a little bit more into how-to and why this is all really important. That might be obvious to you now, might not be. It's just this act of understanding how this actually works, why this goal setting thing works in the context of a real estate agent business. So the topic here, why memorializing your best ideas will save your business. And it's this act of memorialization, meaning putting it somewhere where it's permanent. You know, think about somewhere where it's chiseled on a stone, and that stone's not going anywhere, and neither is what you chiseled on it. That's the act of memorializing it. So you have an image for this as we go through this. So the first point here is, when you have a good idea, it tries to run away immediately. Think about that. How many times have you had sort of that blank that you just had this great epiphany? It came in your head and you're like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. And then squirrel runs by and all of a sudden you go, now what was that great idea? So you see, it's this pass through. Great ideas pass through our mind all the time. Our brain is making these wirings and all of a sudden, poof, an idea comes up, but it comes in one side and out the other side only to never be seen again. Or maybe it comes back in a different form, but maybe not quite as clear as that moment where all the synapses in the brain perfectly fired to give you that exact idea that you were looking for that could really have helped you. So the idea is to understand that. And again, in this digital age, we have this opportunity with our phones. I'm a huge fan of the mind map. Again, a little bit more cumbersome because you're putting it into a desktop or a laptop or maybe an iPad, whatever it might be. But mind mapping software is just a fantastic invention. I live by it these days, both with xmind.net. Their free version is what I certainly recommend everybody take a look at. Also, the software I chose for my CRM or my contact resource or relationship I like better. My contact relationship manager, Infusionsoft, is all based off of mind mapping that I could easily understand. And that allows me to not let those ideas run away. Okay. But I don't run right to software first. What I do instead is an idea comes to me. And the next point here is I now have got into the habit of writing them down. Now, again, I'll go back to technology. On my iPhone, there's that little section called Notes. I've actually moved that to the main home screen so that the minute an idea comes into my head in that moment in time, I might not be anywhere close to anywhere I can put it in a mind map or even write it down for that matter. I might be driving. I'm not saying start putting notes in while you're driving, but I'm certainly going to pull over for any great idea, or I'm going to keep saying it to myself until I can get to a safe spot, pull over, and put it in that phone. There's a lot of other places where great ideas happen, and I know you all are carrying that phone pretty close to you. Put it in the notes, at least a digital form of note-taking. But I will say this again. I think when you're at your station where you work on it or in the business, that there should be some sort of a legal pad or a pad of paper, a 3-ring binder, a notebook. I have both a notebook and a yellow pad. The yellow pad for me, the legal pad, is more the mind dump. Hey, there's a good idea. I might be doing a coaching one-on-one on my Mondays and Tuesday calls or my group calls, and I'll write down that idea so it just doesn't escape me. Then what I'll do is maybe make it a little bit more formal as I go through my ringed binder. That's a little bit more of a formalization of that idea, or maybe I expound upon it there. But I write them down. So again, I'm aware that these good ideas, when they come, you have a very short window of time where they just get caught back up in all the noise. And like I said, squirrel, right? Gone. Just like that. So, because we're distracted, there's too many things to think about. We have the attention span, they say, of about 7 to 9 seconds. So it's important to be aware that the idea there, but more importantly, I really like the act of writing it, because I've now envisioned it being here and getting it through my arm. I know this sounds like very simple for business people, but most people don't take this action. Most of you have tremendous ideas or adjustments that you need to make, but get it through the arm. I like the pencil, mechanical pencil with the eraser. It allows me to mess with that idea. But I think a pen is fine. You can scratch it out. It should be ugly. The spewing of ideas that are being written down can be ugly. Don't try to make it perfect in this point and that dot. I know all my high C's are out there going, oh my gosh, I can't do it. Yes, you can. Get it down, make it ugly, make notes in the margin and everywhere. That's your creative moment that you're trying to just get out onto something where it can sit there and stare back at you. And then it's available for working, because you might want to come back to it later in the week. For example, I have work on it Wednesdays. A big chunk of my Wednesday is reserved for that time to work on my business. That's a great time to go back to all those notes in the first 2 days that I've been taking and thinking and ideas. And then there it all is, ready to be organized or read through. And it's funny how the brain works too. Sometimes you put a bunch of ideas, but one is screaming at you. But again, if you have to come back to it even 24 hours later, 48 hours later, 72 hours later, right? Starts to whisper, it's gone. So writing it down is important. But here's the real way that I relate it back to real estate for you. I think those are just good ideas with every aspect of your life. But the third point here is that you then have to categorize these ideas like a manager. This is the real how-to. And this is a big epiphany that I've had with a couple of one-on-one coaching clients this week, is that I see them becoming that manager. Obviously myself too. I see myself going in to the mind map for marketing, especially, which has been our TRC mastermind obsession for a couple of months, is that when we go in there, we really are digging into the areas of marketing. Where, market, message, to whom are we speaking? And now it's gone beyond just one ideal buyer, seller, client, right? Each of those categories, and agents if you're recruiting, into more micro areas. Like, what is a great idea about expireds, for sale by owners, probates? What's a great idea for the internet seller to promote listings? I mean, all of those ideal avatars or characters are changing. So when that idea comes in, as the manager, I have to categorize it. You have to categorize it. You have to think, is this a marketing idea? Does this belong in the module? I need to chunk this up first as a manager. Where does this help me improve the strategy for marketing? See, a lot of these ideas may very well be tactical. I think I saw a great idea on a website, and I need to put that on my website, or maybe I need to consider buying that website. That's a very tactical reaction. But the next thing I have to do is go, okay, well, if I'm talking about websites, isn't that first a marketing idea? Isn't that how people will find me in the internet? Isn't that a presentation of my brand? So let's chunk it first up into the module of marketing. Or I might have had a great idea about content. A lot of people would say, well, that's marketing too, right? No. What about in-funnel content that I was talking about with one of my clients in an obsessive way? We're searching for the right content at the prospect disposition, meaning somebody has allowed us to start a relationship. What's the content there? Well, that's a conversion module. You see what I'm saying? If you think about it first like a manager, you pull it up out of all the noise. So this nice idea, albeit it may be tactical, chunking it up into that module where it's part of a managed strategy. That's why this will save your business. That's what I said in the title here, right? Why memorializing these best ideas will save your business. because you'll put them up there. You have a lot of these throughout the week, throughout the day. Not a lot of them matter as much as a few of them, but if those few could be dropped into these locations, and especially if those locations are digitized, and now you're starting to have these categories where you can digitize these ideas, and that's what I mean by the next point. Point number 4 is about memorializing those ideas inside the plan. So let me go back and let me just break this down. Imagine me walking through this, right? So I have this great idea. I'm driving around or I'm talking to one of my clients, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. And I keep thinking about it, and I get out of that appointment. I run over to my phone and I open up notes and I put it down. More importantly, if I'm sitting at my desk, I then write it down. By the way, I would recommend that if you use a digital form of notes, still write that down. Still go through the act of writing it down, because there is a different kind of wiring in the subconscious when you actually make the physical act. Your hand actually writes it out, and you can see it outside of some digital context, because you know what it's like. Not that it's not easy to close a book, but it's far too easy to throw it back in your phone and make it disappear there, because you know how many apps you have, right? And how many distractions you have. But that one goals business book is just so delicious because it sits by itself and it stares at you. Psst, work on me. Right? That's what it says. So that whole idea, and then you're categorizing it up, saying, oh, there's a good one. Let's write the word marketing next to that. Belongs in that managed module. Let's write conversion module, meaning what? Bringing somebody from a lead to a prospect to a client. All that part of conversion belongs in there, and particularly it belongs under client, right? This is how I need to take care of my listing client better. Let me put that idea there. A lot of you will neglect the next module at closing. Have you ever really sat still and thought about your whole closing module as a whole entirely managed thing? You know, I should really be sending a better gift prior to the closing. Good. Write it down. Write it down. Put it up in the mind map in a whole different module. That whole entire closing process is loaded with details. How are you going to remember all these great ideas? And that's even before you get to the 4th module, the past client community. When you get all the way out there, well, wait a minute, is this gift during the closing? And doesn't that gift set me up to follow up in the future better? You see, they all begin to tie together. I know it might sound like I'm all over the place, but I'm not. I'm talking about the walkthrough of where to put an idea in this modularized plan. You have to become a manager. You have to see this from that management idea. And look, it's the manager in you that will scream at the technician to put this down. This is a good idea. You're out there every day working with these buyers and sellers. You harvest my management brain. A great idea. Put it down. Write it down on paper. Then let's talk about it. And then let's maybe put it in the strategy and repeat it and test it. See, that's how really testing these ideas can then be done properly. Too many of you saying, oh, I heard about this guy or gal who's killing it with this, so I'm testing it. What? You're doing what? You took some random idea, never went through this process that really made you question, why am I so enthralled with what this person's doing? And I don't even know if they're telling the truth or not. If you put the idea down, like for example, I'm considering a new website. Good, put it down. Check your marketing. Why? Are you branding okay? Is your website really branding you when somebody arrives and has 7 seconds to vet you because you met them at a ball game and now all of a sudden they want to see you? Boom, that's a marketing decision. Again, I'm going to keep going back and forth with this one a little bit here and playing with it. It's a process that I'm trying to teach you to learn. These ideas go through this process, okay? And if they're memorialized in the plan, then the testing can begin. Got this great idea that belongs in my marketing, and it had more to do starting with the message. To whom was I speaking? I'm not sure that I was speaking to the expireds correctly, so I looked into this idea of sending this content and having a follow-up script or bullet points when the telemarketer calls or I call, that they're in line. See, that's an idea. You put that down and you begin to test it. You begin to listen to what the prospect is actually saying on the other end of the phone or the lead, or whoever it is. You listen and say, oh, that was a good idea. They liked it, but it needs a little refinement. But since it's memorialized in the plan, I'll do the tweaking right here. See, this is why a lot of you don't know what to do with your time. You have no process for managing. I don't care if you've never sold a property before or you have sold a gajillion properties, okay? It doesn't matter. It's about the process that you go through. We all have that same burden on leveraging time. In other words, the new agent who comes in and doesn't know what to do with their time has a very different problem from the one who wakes up in a cold sweat going, I'm not doing enough transactions. I'm not doing enough transactions. Yes, you are. You're not managing those well enough to learn from them. So you're losing time because you're trying to do too much in a transactional way. See what I mean? There's the concept of management, because ultimately this is all about trying to master the best practices in all of these modules by managing them and staying on top of what's best practices, evolving them. Look, it's easy to have a great idea and then implement it. And that's the final point here, to work on these tactically. Okay. Tactically comes after this process, right? The order of things in a perfect world doesn't always happen like this, because there's no such thing as a perfect world. But I get the idea. I write it down. I categorize it. I put it in the plan. Now I can test it. Now I know why I'm even testing it to begin with. And now I'm much more certain about it. It feels right to me that I should be speaking to this subset of sellers, that I should have changed that geography and done this thing. Now I come over to all the choices I have and say, okay, let's test postcards. Let's test telemarketing with this. Let's test going door knocking, whatever. Those are all tactical choices. See, most people with ideas come up with it, hey, I should start door knocking. Great, slow down. Let's just go all the way back and first of all say, is that something to market your message? Is that the fastest path to you delivering your message to, say, sellers in that neighborhood who have expired? Might be a great choice for you. If you're a top producer, you're saying, you nuts? I can't go around the corner. Great. Then you need a different medium for the delivery of the same message. See, all of this works universally. But tactically, we're all in a little bit of a different spot. Some people have just gotten started. Some people are just beginning to build out people, leverage, and have team members. Some people have companies. It's just that the tactical implementation is really has to be managed at all levels, so that once you get them in there, you can test them and you can listen. And very quickly, when you've done this correctly and strategically, very quickly, the consumer will give you evidence as to whether all of that idea, capture, categorizing, memorializing, and implementing. I'm just seeing that in my notes here. It's interesting how all of a sudden the system reveals itself, right? So the feedback will come from your real boss, the consumer. And that's when you know whether you have a winner of an idea or not that you stick with and continue to tweak, okay? Because you're listening. So let me summarize these points. I'm going to highlight what I just noticed here as I said that, right? Funny how you learn while you're doing a live podcast. The subject here is why memorializing your best ideas will save your business. It will. You can't let them run around. And the first point is because ideas run away. The minute you have them, they're gone. So be aware of that. 2, write them down. I suggest if in the heat of the moment, sure, digital is fine, but then go through the act of writing them with a pencil, I think, on a yellow pad or a ringed binder with erasers and notes and everything, all that fun act of getting it out. But then categorize it like a manager. This is a marketing module thing to manage. Will it help the marketing plan? Will it help the conversion, bringing lead, prospect to client? Will it help the closing plan so that we're more organized and the client doesn't think we forgot them? Will it build my new past client module better? Will it give more content there? And then if you're hiring, hey, how does all of this help an agent when they join me? I have this idea for agents when they join me. And then ultimately, the last module that I like to focus on is measurement. See, once you build all this the right way, it becomes measurable because it's organized, strategic. See, that's why it'll save you business. It's pulling us up by the bootstraps to be more responsible as managers. I get it. Tough row to hoe. It's a long one. It's an arduous one. But if you want to be a successful real estate independent business owner, this stuff just isn't going away. And that's why I share it with you every week. So let me chunk up the key point here. To summarize, it's critical that you capture your best business ideas, then categorize them so that then they can be made a permanent part of your what? Your memorialized plan of what? Tactical implementation and action. That way, come to work every day knowing what to do. All right? Hey, remember, you can take immediate action and get started in a better or the right direction if you knew with our free video course over at freeagentgift.com. It's a wireframe for this business. This is how we think strategically. So if you're really trying to work on that management brain, take the course. Humor me. It will help you. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so that you don't miss out on any insights each time we upload an episode. We also broadcast our live sales training calls on Facebook and YouTube every Friday at 1 ET. So remember to turn on your page and channel notifications so you won't miss the reminders. We'd also appreciate it if you would share our content with other entrepreneurial real estate agents just like you so that they also get the help they need. They might not even know we exist. Hey, thanks for listening. And remember, nobody's coming for you. So go get to work on your own business. See you in the next episode.